Welcome, this is the 18-yard box, bringing you another video that will explore one of Italian football's biggest scandals. The year is 2006, and Italian football is about to change forever. Not because Juventus just won their 4th title in 5 years, but because of something they had been doing along the way. As they celebrated the continuation of their great dynasty, a scandal erupted that would not only strip them of their recent glories, but would also shake Italian football to its core. The Calciopoli scandal was one of the darkest chapters in the sport's history, exposing deep-rooted corruption at the highest level and bringing down several great clubs in doing so. It is a scandal that reshaped the international football landscape, and this is its story. The Calciopoli scandal is a very broad and complicated story, tying together a wide array of teams, referees, federations, and figures. In many ways, there will always remain a lot of unknowns, given the sheer scale of the corruption. But the man at the heart of it is Luciano Moggi. After rising from humble beginnings, Moggi had scaled the Italian football ladder admirably, resulting in an enviable appointment as the general director of Juventus in 1994. By now, Moggi had earned the respect of the nation and footballing federation, wielding significant power in the industry. The first hint of corruption actually came as a result of a doping scandal dating back to the mid-1990s, in which a former team doctor, Riccardo Agricola, was found guilty of supplying players with performance-enhancing drugs between 1994 and 1998. He was sentenced to 22 months in jail. However, as part of further investigations into this doping scandal, a much darker form of corruption was accidentally stumbled across. The secret investigation was focused on private phone calls involving Moggi and other key figures. Instead of hearing about doping discussions, the investigators instead heard very passionate conversations between Moggi and Pierluigi Perretto, the Italian vice chairman of the UEFA Referees Committee and one of the main referee designators. In these discussions, Moggi can be heard imploring Perretto to assign certain referees to Juventus's games. Referees that would be more sympathetic towards Juventus, and therefore more likely to give them the benefit of the doubt in 50-50 situations. One of the damning transcripts was taken after Juventus were denied a late goal in the Champions League, resulting in the game ending in a draw. Moggi could be heard berating Perretto over the phone by saying, "He messed things up for us. For Stockholm, the return leg, I am counting on you." Even more damning transcripts were released between Perretto, the referee designator, and Paolo Dondorini, a referee who was set to officiate against Juventus's upcoming Serie A fixture against Sampdoria. The leaked transcripts depicted Perretto saying, "You know what you have to do. Make sure you see everything, even that which isn't there." There were even reports of Moggi and Juventus chairman Antonio Gaudio harassing and intimidating referees, and also preventing them from refereeing big matches. In one incident, it was reported that they went down to berate referee Gianluca Paparesta after Juventus lost 2-1 to Regina and ended up locking him in his dressing room. The damning wiretaps were first revealed to the masses by Milan-based Gazzetta dello Sport, and the outrage was instant. Juventus had already grown to be disliked as a result of their continuous dominance, and people had been cooking up conspiracy theories due to a perception of decisions often going Juventus's way. However, what appeared to be a bad story for Juventus was also a bad story for Italian football as a whole. Fiorentina, Lazio, Regina, and AC Milan were also implicated, suggesting a much wider web of corruption. It has since been alleged that the corruption went wider still, but more on that later. The revelation produced an instant impact. The Juventus board resigned, including Moggi, as did several of the implicated referees, along with Perretto, one of the chief refereeing designators. The lead prosecutor, Stefano Palazzi, initially requested that all 4 teams be relegated to Serie B. However, appeals meant that this didn't happen. Well, for everyone other than Juventus. As the focal point of the investigation, Juventus and Moggi received the harshest punishment. Despite having not been found guilty of bribery due to there being no exchange of money, Moggi and 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤 were determined to have created a system that alters games in their favor. Juventus were relegated to Serie B, where they would begin with a 9-point deduction, and they had their 2 most recent titles stripped from them. Moggi received a 5-year ban, which would later be increased to a lifetime ban. Lazio and Fiorentina were found to have used a similar system, with Lazio having 3 points deducted from the upcoming 2006-2007 season and Fiorentina losing 15. They were also kicked out of European competitions and had to play 2 games behind closed doors each. Regina were deducted 11 points after appeal, and AC Milan were deducted 8 points from the upcoming season, as well as 30 from the previous season. They also had to play 1 game behind closed doors. With the sentences handed out, Italy could return to normal proceedings, right? Not quite. The reputation of the Italian league was severely damaged. A long list of high-profile players left the league to play for other European leagues, leading to the decline of Serie A behind its English, Spanish, and German counterparts. On top of that, the conspiracy theories and signs of corruption remained. The vacant role at the top of the Italian Football Federation was filled by Guido Rossi, a man who was an Inter Milan board member and minority shareholder. This certainly raised some eyebrows, especially given how much Inter Milan gained from the whole scandal. Not only did they scoop up several talented players from Juventus at significantly lower prices following their relegation, but Inter was awarded one of the division titles vacated by Juventus, whereas the other remained unassigned. Whether or not there was any corruption surrounding the awarding of the title remains unproven. But what is certain is that the conflict of interest surrounding Rossi made him a questionable and potentially impartial hire. This did little to settle the frustrations of a turbulent market of football fans in Italy. The scandal is one that still triggers a lot of anger and emotion in Italy, partly due to its incomplete nature. Further investigations, trials, and appeals continued over the next decade, revealing more details and eventually implicating up to 9 other clubs, including Inter Milan. However, these additional cases were dismissed due to the statute of limitations. The final Supreme Court verdict explained that, whilst no direct match fixing was proven, Moggi had unjustified excessive power, which he used to influence referees and the media in favor of Juventus. They said he had severely damaged the integrity of Italian football and the nation's finances. He was banned for life from football. On the football field, Juventus overcame their point deduction in Serie B and quickly returned to the top of Italian sport. They then went on to win 9 straight titles between 2011 and the 2019 to 2020 season. AC Milan also weren't down for too long. Having avoided a ban from that year's Champions League in 2006-2007, they somehow managed to go on and win it. Inter Milan won 5 titles in a row stemming from the scandal, including the one they were awarded. It was a dark and very confusing time in Italian football, reshaping the international sport and still triggering fiery debates over a decade later.